Uh, as you can see here, today's speaker, Dr. Brent Harrison, is going to introduce our AI program. Okay, the title is "Everything You Wanted to Know About AI at the UK, and We're Too Afraid to Ask." But you can ask him any questions. And after the talk, we have a 2-hour AI open house. No, you can, of course, then ask questions of other faculty members as well. Let's welcome Dr. Brent Harrison.
Okay, turn my thing on screen. Hopefully you can all hear me. All right, hi. So my name is Brent Harrison. I'm an associate professor here. I am the director of the undergraduate program, so hopefully I'll get to meet, I don't know, all of you at some point. But yeah, today what I want to do is go over all of the really fun things that we've been doing over the last year and a half or 2 years on really expanding our AI offerings. And so specifically what I'm going to go through is I'm going to go through some of the new classes that we've introduced, some of the new ones that are still kind of coming down the line, and then introduce 2 of our programs, the AI certificate and the brand new AI major, which should be starting in fall 2026. Hopefully you don't get sick of me saying that. I will be saying that a lot. So I also wanted to make this a little fun beyond my, I don't know, normal self. So these slides were all created with one giant conversation with ChatGPT. Now what this means is that you might notice some odd things that occur during the talk. Keep an eye out for those. And I have one thing that I want you to do specifically. One of these slides took significantly longer to make than all the other ones. Figure out which one it is, because I am going to ask at the end of the talk. If no one else has questions, I've got a question for you. Which one's the hardest, do you think? Okay, so this talk is everything you ever wanted to know about AI at UK, but we're too afraid to ask, or I put AI at UK into ChatGPT and got absolute garbage back, and that is accurate. I asked about the AI major, and it told me some blatant falsehoods, and what's worse is I then later on saw on a separate news thing, I think it was a Kentucky Colonel, repeated those falsehoods. So I'm here to say this is what it actually is. Okay. So first off, why is this something that we should care about? I am a storyteller. I like stories. And so you will, and now you're kind of a captive audience, so sorry, you have to humor me on this. I'm going to start with the first time that I ever had the chance to interact with ChatGPT. This was maybe 3 years ago. It was months after it came out, and I was at a conference in Raleigh, North Carolina, where there was somebody who initially was talking, I'm guessing they worked for DreamWorks, because they jokingly said, my job was to make the romance between a donkey and a dragon seem believable. They worked on the Shrek movies. Later on at that conference, somebody was showing off ChatGPT, and they said, watch this. And they gave this prompt to ChatGPT, can you write for me a believable romance between a donkey and a dragon? And ChatGPT proceeded to give back to me the most amazing thing at the time that I had ever seen, which was something like this. Well, it turns out that donkeys and dragons aren't really the same species, so we can't drive their romance based on that. So maybe we'll come up with some shared experiences where they could grow and get closer. At the time, given the technology that was out there, this was huge. And at that point, I kind of figured that this is going to change so many things. And over the next 2 years, over the next 3 years, it caught on like wildfire, more than I ever would have thought. And so now it's managed to penetrate into pretty much every aspect of our lives. It's changed how we work, it's changed how we teach, it's really kind of just molded, or it's altered how we approach everything. And it's especially important that we as educators prepare you all to exist in this world. And so that's why we focus so much on adding AI classes, adding these programs, because we want to make sure that you're all prepared to go out and enter into a workforce where it's increasingly becoming expected that you'll know how to use these tools and know how to use them effectively. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. So what I'm going to do first is go over the new offerings, the AI offerings that we have here currently. So I'm going to start with what I'm going to call lower level courses. I put this in quotes because, like, what is a lower level course? I drew an arbitrary cutoff at 400 level courses. So like this is everything that's up to 400 level, which is not really low level, but whatever. It was my weird scheme. For brand new courses, I've got some excerpts from syllabi. What I want to get across here is, here's what you can expect taking this course. So you can decide, hey, I think that sounds cool. I'm going to take it. Or maybe that's not for you. You can skip it. So on to the first one. CS263, AI in the world. First off, has anyone in here taken that class? Awesome. I'm teaching this class next semester, so take it. Pitch. Oh yes. Yes, it will, as an elective. Our plan is to have this count, so it will definitely count as an elective. We've talked about that and we finalized it. So what is this class? AI, this is a class that examines kind of the societal impacts of AI. It's really, really interesting. It's now gotten so big that we can examine it from various angles. We can look at it as a socio-technical system. We can look at the ethical implications of this. And this is kind of giving students a base competency in having discussions about AI. So here's an example. These are excerpts from the syllabus for this class. Now what excites me about this is one of the first things that we're going to cover in the class is the history of AI and the definitions of AI. If you know me, if you've had a class from me, you know I get unreasonably excited about these things. But then you move on into kind of the basics of how does this work? Classical AI techniques, a little bit of machine learning. Again, this is not meant to be a technical class. So if there are non-computer scientists here, or you don't have a technical background, you can still take this class. There are no prerequisites on this. And so when we talk about the what is AI, how does it work, how does machine learning work, we're talking about it at a high level. It's a 200 level class. But then we move into some interesting, like, other topics. Topics of bias and fairness and ethics and values, going into socio-technical systems, and then kind of fish out with overall like some applications, some interesting applications of AI that are out there. So this is a really nice introductory class if you don't necessarily have a technical background, or if you just want to explore AI from a different lens. I'm actually very excited about this one. So CS301, I've taught machine learning a lot. 460, and we'll talk about machine learning a little later. And one of the things I was always upset about was I felt like I was blindsiding students with Python. Like, Python's not the hardest language in the world. But the only other class that teaches Python here, at least like actually teaches it, is CS115. And how many of you have taken CS115? Oh, someone did. Okay, you transferred in? Yeah. So it's pretty much only for transfer students. Most of our students do not take CS115. And so given that Python is the language of choice for AI, we needed a class where we actually taught students how to use this. This is that class. So this is where you learn to use Python and all of the modern AI tools that are out there, your PyTorches, your TensorFlows, even like your scikit-learns, you want to use that. So this is where you actually get some hands-on practice building these systems, building these AI and machine learning systems. So there's a lot of text here. What I can do actually is send these, make these slides available. So if you want to go and read this here, you'll have it. I'm not going to go through all this right now. But what's notable here is that this is at its core a programming class. You are learning how to program in Python, and you're learning how to program AI and machine learning models. So like weeks, can you actually see that? Yeah, you can. So like weeks 11 through 12, hey, here's you getting an introduction to PyTorch and TensorFlow for creating convolutional neural networks. And there is, like right now, no other class that does this. So this is a requirement on the AI major. We'll get to that later. Yeah, this is one of those classes. So next, 465. So this class is being taught right now. I taught it last semester. So this is an introduction to generative AI techniques. This is meant to be a non-technical overview of various types of generative AI. Actually, okay, who here has had this class or is in it currently? Okay, so some people. I also see some people that took it with me. How was it? You can lie to me if you want. Yeah, okay, cool. I got a thumbs up. I'll take it. I'll believe you're being honest and truthful. But no, it's a very, very fun class, and it's another one of those that if you don't need to have a technical background to take it, because it is entirely a no-code class. Whenever we look at, in this class, we're concerned with learning how to interact with the tools that are out there, while also kind of learning some fundamental principles about machine learning. So understanding how your choice of inputs to outputs is going to affect the models that you choose, or even how you formulate a problem where you want specific inputs as well as specific outputs. So for example, like image captioning, this might seem trivial, but I mean, it kind of is, but image captioning requires certain types of inputs and certain types of outputs. You need an image as an input, and your output is going to be text. And based on that, you're going to want to use certain models. You don't want to use a classifier to do a captioning task. These are all things that we go over in this class. We'll also talk about how you evaluate these systems. Like off the top of your head, if you were given like, let's see, yeah, question for you. How do you know if a conversation that you're having with ChatGPT is good? Any ideas? Blue, how dare you? How dare you? I'll get back to that in a second, yeah. So is it factually correct? Awesome, that's one. What if you're not having that type of conversation? You had something. That's super good too. That's accurate, that is legit. There are quantitative and qualitative metrics you can use to evaluate the quality of a conversation. I would never use Blue Score though, because that's a translation metric, and conversations are not translation. That's a big soapbox of mine to get on. But yeah, so like there are all of these things surrounding generative AI that you can kind of get across without needing to know how to code, without needing to like interact with these tools on more than a surface level. So that's what this class is. Very, very fun. And here is like a sample from the syllabus. So as you can see, the beginning of class, we're looking at, oh, what is generative AI? What is, how do we train it? How do we evaluate it? But also, what I kind of like about this is how I taught it. I can say nothing to how it's currently being taught. I also tried to focus on the non-neural, the non-modern approaches to generating output, or to creating generative output, because this has been around for a while. The history of generative AI did not start with GPT. You can go all the way back to like grammars, like synthetic grammars for generating text. Or if you ever had autocomplete on your phone, technically this is a generative system. Hit the middle thing in the word suggestion thing on your phone and you get a sentence out. Congratulations, you've used generative AI. It's not great, but it's there. So these next two classes are ones that have been around for a while. You're probably familiar with them. You can find the syllabi for these easy enough. I mainly just want to point these out because these are our technical classes. So CS460G, I taught this for a very, very long time. This is our machine learning class. This is where if you do want to learn the nuts and bolts of how these systems work, this is the class that you take. When I teach this class, I tend to focus on both the theoretical aspects of learning as well as the practical aspects of learning, like the tool-based aspects of learning. What does that look like in practice? Generally, what I have you do, if you ever want to code a neural net by hand, this is the class you take. You ever want to know how an SVM works under the hood, this is the class you take. And I'll actually use this to pitch one of my favorite theorems that comes out of this. So there are two of them, really. One of them is called the no free lunch theorem. If you had to wager a guess, what do you think the best machine learning method is? just the best one? And if you don't know, that's fine. Or if you don't have a guess, that's fine. But
Majority classifier.
how dare you? Who let you in? Majority classifier. No. Turns out there is no best one, and it is provable. So the no free lunch theorem tells us that you look at every possible machine learning method that could exist and ever will exist. They are all equally good if you average them over every possible training set. There is no free lunch. There is no inherently better or worse method out there than any other one. And so that's one of the things that we go over at the very beginning of this class. The other one is this. Is there a method out there? Is there a machine learning method that can, given enough time, with 100% accuracy, classify any data set? Turns out there's one. It is the sine classifier. Turns out you can make a sine wave that can classify any data set with the correct parameters. However, we never use it because that's a bad model. We discuss why that's a bad model in this class. So if that sounds interesting to you, this is right here. So 463, I super love the ordering of these. If I were to reorder them, I would have 463 be a lower number. But this is what it is. So this is our introduction to artificial intelligence. Now, machine learning is a very, very specific subfield of AI. AI encompasses, like, you might not believe that now. The way people talk about machine learning, or they talk about AI, makes it sound like AI and machine learning are actually the same thing. That's not true. There's a lot more that goes into AI. This is a very, very old, well, relatively old field given the age of computer science. But here's the overview of all of the other techniques in AI. Here you get to go over things like basics of search. Actually, who is in this class right now or has taken that class? Okay, a lot of people. So you've gone over A-star, right? How was that assignment? You don't have to answer. A-star is by far one of the most influential, most important pathfinding algorithms out there. How many of you have played any game whatsoever? This is not a trick question. Awesome. Guess what? Your NPCs, they're probably controlled using A-star. It is crazy how many places A-star comes up. Beyond this, this is where you go into things like constraint satisfaction, logic programming, logic resolution, decision-making under uncertainty, Bayes nets, all kinds of fun topics like this. And you get to cover, in my opinion, one of the most important concepts in AI. If you take nothing else out of this talk, take this. And I believed this for a long time, and some people in my history have pushed back on this, but I think they're wrong, and they're not here right now, so they can't tell me no. So AI boils down to two things: representation and search. And in this class is where you really get hit over the head with that. It's about how do you represent a problem, how do you represent your data, and then how do you solve that problem? It's always some kind of search. So if you take nothing else, take that. Or take 463. Ah, God. So now for our upper level courses. Again, these are the courses that are 500 level and above. Why did I call them upper level courses? I don't know. So first, CS 509, our ethics class. This is not strictly an AI class. This is technically just computer ethics. However, currently, the way that it's being taught, there are a lot of interesting AI problems that are being discussed in here. So here, you examine the ethical implications of various computer science topics, AI being one of them. Now, what's really, really cool about this class is that the way that Judy teaches it, the way that the book was written, is it's done through a science fiction story lens. You take science fiction stories, you pick out the ethical components, and you find ways to apply them to our current situation. When I was an undergrad, I double majored in computer science and English, and other than that making me really, really weird, it made me appreciate being able to take literature and see how it applies to our current situation. Like, that's part of what makes literature so important to kind of know and understand. So I think this is an incredible way to teach this class. In addition, you get to do like one of the coolest things about it, and I went to these last semester. Was that last semester? I think it was last semester. You get to have giant debate at the end of the class. So students were given topics like relevant AI-related topics, and they had to come up with a debate for and against these things. So let me think here. One of these was about, and this is just an example, liability. So if like a self-driving car causes an accident, who is liable? Is a company liable? Is nobody? Is the person who was behind the wheel but maybe not driving liable? Is the person who coded the AI liable? Who knows? We sure don't. But there are arguments either way. And being able to see all those sides of the argument is something that's important, especially now, because, spoiler, more and more of these issues are going to continue to crop up. Now, in addition to this, this next semester, a new class is being taught, slightly related to this, called data ethics. That's going to be offered as a, what was it, a 485? Yeah, so it's a 485. Cool, thumbs up. And so that is different than computer ethics, but it is examining specifically the issues that surround the effective and, well, ethical use of data. I have excerpts from that syllabus as well that we'll kind of go over. So here is the excerpt from what you can expect to do in just computer ethics. Note, you go over pretty much all the major ethical frameworks that you would typically go over in an ethics class, but here they're being specifically used to examine various CS topics, various AI topics. So I think that's really, really neat. Let's see here. And so here's the kind of data ethics still in its early stages, but this is the planned set of topics to be covered in data ethics. And so again, you get issues of fairness, bias, privacy. You also go over notions of, what is data? What is knowledge? How do these things relate to each other? How does data become knowledge? These are all very, very difficult questions, but they're all super relevant right now. Let's see here. Oh, and again, I should have said this earlier. Please, if anyone wants to ask a question about anything, please don't feel bad for stopping me. Otherwise, I'm just going to barrel them through. I will not stop otherwise. Okay. So this is another fun class. They're all fun. Who am I kidding? So CS 465, generative AI. This is the non-technical way, the non-technical class about generative systems. Here is, in essence, the technical one. So this, you title it Everything You Wanted to Know About LLMs, but we're too afraid to ask. I really like that format. This is where you learn the nuts and bolts of how transformers work. This is where you learn what goes into a large language model. This is where you learn how to go from the full pipeline of natural language processing, generation, understanding. So if you're looking to really get your hands dirty on this type of work, this is where you would go. And this is a bit of a I'm so glad that this class is here. I've done so much work in natural language processing over the years, and it's not an easy thing. Even something as simple as I want to scan a document and summarize what it says. That's so incredibly hard to do. And actually, you'll probably notice this a little bit later. One of the things that you have to these AI systems struggle with. Well, actually, let's do it this way. If I ask this is all going in natural language. If I give a prompt to an image generation system, and I tell it to generate me a picture of a field with no cows in it, what do you think it's going to give me? It's going to give me a big old cow in that field. Negation is not something that these systems are very good at. Yeah. Yes, and counting. If I ask it for 1 or 5 cows. Yes, counting, anything that involves really reasoning about a thing and negation, we just cannot do. It's a struggle. And it's not to say that we can't make the system deal with it, but how you do that is all in how you process your text, all in how you interpret the text that was given to you. And so all of that you learn here. And again, giant wall of text. Okay, we're safe. Giant wall of text. This will be made available to you later. But note, we go into like the basics of language modeling, sequence modeling. Oh, we go into, hey, what makes transformers work? What is all you need? Attention is all you need. You go into the various attention mechanisms at play here. Again, this is just a great class if you're looking to get a better technical understanding of how these large language systems really work. So I consider this like the sister class of 465. So planning, this is Stephen's class. So this is technically a graduate level class. This is at the 600 level. However, I asked Stephen, and he said he wouldn't be opposed categorically to undergraduates taking this. So this is something that is available to you should you, want to do this. So, do you have a question? Okay, I was ready for it. So here, there's one particular sub-branch, or this goes over one particular sub-area of artificial intelligence, specifically planning. The age-old task of taking a world state and figuring out how to transform it into some other world state, which sounds incredibly simple and boring at its core, but is actually one of the hardest problems you could think of that you might run into. Stephen, what's the computational complexity of planning?
P-space hard if you measure it by domain size.
Yeah, so P-space, that is far above P, obviously, far above NP, far above NP hard, and do what? Actually, yeah, that's true. So is, computationally speaking, incredibly difficult. Even though we might be able to look at a planning domain and be able to come up with a solution to it very easily. Even something as simple as, I'm going to butcher your common domain here, so, I want to buy medicine for my sick grandmother, so I need to go to the market to purchase this medicine. That can become incredibly difficult depending on what the domain looks like. And so in this class, we'll go over a bunch of classical as well as modern planning algorithms to solve this. Also, I just want to see, did you see what I put on there? Yeah, and specifically, how is this set up? It's a Sussman anomaly. Woo! Okay, I was very proud of this one. It turns out this is a very, very difficult planning problem for old planners. The Sussman anomaly has to do with block world when you're trying to stack these blocks in a specific order. Specifically what I think is like A on top of B on top of C or something. What can end up happening if you're not careful is you end up undoing sub-goals. Like this becomes really difficult to solve if you're not using a very good planner. So anyway, Sussman anomaly, that's fun. Next is my class. You can think of these planning and sequential decision making as kind of sister classes as well. If you want to go into non-planning approaches to solve sequential problems, that's my class. So here we go through the various methods for solving these difficult sequential problems. I guess I need to define what is sequential. So a sequential problem is any one in which the decision that you make right now depends on the decisions you've made in the past. If I'm classifying faces, that's not sequential. I could classify 1,000,000 faces, and the 1,000,001th thing that I see could still be a face. It doesn't matter. However, if I'm navigating to some place, the fact that I took a left at my second turn is going to affect what choices I'm offered in the future. These, I think, are some of the hardest problems that we have to deal with in AI. And so we tackle them in this class. Now specifically, I go over mostly non-planning approaches. So we look into things like Monte Carlo tree search. We go over multi-armed bandit problems, and most of the class dedicated to reinforcement learning. So how you learn when you know nothing about your environment and maybe don't even know anything about how your actions work. And so how I like to describe this is, well, what would you do if I dropped you into the middle of the desert and you knew absolutely nothing? Nothing about the world, nothing about yourself. What would you do? Other than sit down and cry. Although that's an action, so. But yeah, what would you do? Yeah. I guess I'll die. Yes, you could do that. But even that would be an action. You would try something. And based on what you try, you're probably going to get some feedback. And that's part of reinforcement learning. I'm going to bumble around in the dark until I find something that works. And then once I do that, I'm going to be more likely to keep doing that in the future. That's the basis for all of reinforcement learning. And reinforcement learning is by far like one of the most common types of machine learning out there right now. So all of that's based on this concept of stumbling around until something good happens. So in this class, we see how far we can take that, which is really far. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list of all the AI classes that are currently planned. We have, for example, approved classes on computer vision for biomedical, is computer vision for biomedical informatics, is that right? For biomedical imaging, yes. So we have new AI classes that are kind of entering into the proposal pipeline now. So expect to see some movement on those. I wish it was faster, but over the next year and a half. So this is just kind of what we have ready to go right now, but these offerings are increasing. But now what I want to do is go over the two new programs. Well, one kind of new and one brand new. And we're going to start with the AI certificate. So initially, when we designed this is meant to be a kind of like not low effort, but low commitment way to get some additional training about AI. So specifically, and I have a slide in here that is, here's all the classes that are on it. It's 4 classes that you have to take. That's all, so 12 hours. This does beg the question, who exactly is this for? And the answer is anybody. We designed the certificate to be incredibly adaptable, incredibly flexible. And so it's meant for anybody, CS people, non-CS people, it literally does not matter. What you'll see is that there are kind of non-technical classes included on this, as well as technical classes. So if you're looking to get a deeper understanding of the technical elements of AI, great, the AI certificate has got you. If you don't have a very solid technical background and you're more interested in kind of AI as a concept or as a social construct, things like this, great, we've still got you. If you're interested in something like cybersecurity or software development and just kind of want to explore how AI could apply to software development, AI certificate's got you. The idea is this is meant to be a way for students to very easily get some additional AI training. And so if you're not looking to go like all in on AI, this could be a good way for you to kind of dabble. So this is what goes into it. Again, 4 classes is all you need. Either 463 or 263, that's our kind of AI requirement. It's up here too. Either 460 or 465, that's our kind of machine learning requirement. An ethics requirement, so 509, 205, or the data ethics class that will be taught next semester, that will count for this. And then one elective, one other course that is sufficiently AI related. We have a set of classes here that are already approved. However, this is not exhaustive. If you find another class that anybody's teaching anywhere on campus that has a significant AI component, let me know. I'll approve it, and that'll be that. Just recently, I approved, oh God, I wish I could remember the name of this class. I think it was called something like Adam and Eve and AI or something. It was this interesting kind of examination of AI through like a historical and literary lens, being taught by Abigail Fiery. But like that, approved that in a heartbeat. So anything interesting, that last credit there is meant for you to kind of explore the different ways, the different connections AI has, well, for whatever interests you. And so that's certificate. Applications are open for this. So if you're interested, you can go online, you can search for UK AI certificate. That should bring you up to the main page there, and there's a little application link right there. So next is the AI major. So this we've been developing for what feels like forever, but it's really only been like a year and a half or so. And so this is a full-on Bachelor of Science in AI. It is 120 hours as a major, and it's meant to give you, like, it is a fully complete program of study. And so it gives you a good solid foundation in programming, in computer science principles, but also has a heavy focus on AI theory and practice. And so the goal with this, again, who is it for? This is for people that are interested in like really diving deep into AI. Now what's notable is that the way we've designed it is not to necessarily like, how to put it, if you graduate with this degree, you can still go on to be, like, you have a good solid foundation in computing. So do you want to be a software developer? You could still do this. You could still get the AI degree and be a very, very good software developer. But when you graduate with it, employers will know that you have so much additional knowledge about how AI works. So one of our goals with this was to make it that graduates of this degree would be able to kind of immediately enter into the AI-powered workforce and be successful. My joking way to refer to this is, you'll be able to vibe code if you want, but more importantly, you'll be able to vibe debug, which right now, not many people can do. So what does it look like? This looks a lot like the CS degree. It's very, very similar, and we designed it actually because we expect there to be a lot of overlap between these, so you can very easily move back and forth between these degrees. Do you want a double major? Cool, that's something that is easily supported. Do you want to transfer in? Sure, that's something that you can very easily do as well. So I like to kind of separate it out by year. After this, I have a big old, like, the 4-year plan for AI, and we can kind of go over that. But in general, you can summarize it like this. So the first year, you're kind of taking out your core courses, your UK core. But one of the big wins, and probably the thing I'm most excited about this entire degree, is that you actually, 115 is required. So one of the issues that with CS right now is that our intro programming class technically is EGR 102, which you learn MATLAB, which is great for engineers. However, we pushed to have 115 as one of our first programming classes, where you learn Python. And so you get to come in that first semester and actually, like, bam, Python is right there. So yay, that was a big win. Yes? Yep. So, that's interesting. I have to think about that. What we are prepared to do, though, because we have anticipated this exact situation, there's going to be a bypass exam for this, so you can just we imagine most upper-level students that go into the AI major are going to be able to easily test out of this. So, yeah, we've given a lot of thought to, because we don't want to have people go back and have to, take an intro class in their senior year. It makes no sense. So next, this is where you start to get into your computing fundamentals. Your things like data structures, your 215, 218 sequence. So you're getting a lot of kind of foundational programming knowledge, foundational computer science knowledge in this second year. In the third year, this is where you start to see some of our fundamentals in AI. Out of curiosity, have they introduced the Wampus world in AI yet? Yes? Cool, there it is. And so then the last year is where we start to cover advanced AI topics, and this is where a lot of your electives have kind of ended up. So this is where you get a chance to kind of figure out what am I interested in with respect to AI and kind of specialize in that. Or you could choose to explore how AI connects to other disciplines, maybe physics or music or English, and kind of fill out those electives and really kind of tailor this last year to what would be most useful for you. And here, it's not, you can kind of see that. So this is the actual full 4-year plan. Again, these slides, I'm gonna do my best to make these available to you so you can kind of look this over. I won't go over this, line by line, but this roughly aligns with kind of what I've set out here. And so this is coming fall 2026, so it has been approved by the Board of Trustees. It just has, what day is it? Okay, it just has one more final hurdle to clear That happens in November, and after that, it will be ready to go. But our current plans are that this should be ready to be deployed fall 2026, so next year, which means that you could feasibly start applying for it in spring, all the way up through summer. So if you're interested, be aware, like, be on the lookout for those types of notifications, which will likely be coming spring. Hopefully for me, I don't know. So this is what we're doing at UK. But again, this is not all. Like, this is, or I guess I should say, this is not the end. We have plans to keep expanding our AI offerings to offer more and more like electives on interesting AI topics as they come up. I'm also kind of scouring the university to find relevant AI classes to also kind of make a part of this, because AI is not, like, yes, it is a computer science discipline, but it is not solely computer science. It kind of touches every other major discipline out there, and so this is something that I want to enable students with this degree to explore should they want to. If there's a class on, I don't know, using AI to create and score music, that should be something that you can take and have count for credit. Is there a class out there on AI art, AI design? Sure, that should be something that should be a part of the degree. So expect big changes, like we've had big changes already, and expect for them to continue as we kind of move into the next 1, 2, 3 infinity years until the heat death of the universe. So that is all I've got. I'm pretty sure this goes to black. Yes, goes to black. So that's it. Questions, questions, questions. Yes.
Sorry, I'll bring another question.
Oh,
Okay,
that's good.
so with the changes that happened in the past, I guess, 1 year with the, I guess, agentic AI and MCP servers and all those like tools and things, what are we doing as like university to help those people who want to go into the field with like building those agents and working with them to do tasks, like you said, that touch on all these different things like image generation and stuff like that?
So there's a lot of different things that you could do there. So first off, agentic AI, this is my own opinion, I'm a little annoyed at that term because the foundation of AI is in agents, and that's been around forever, so I find it funny that everything old is new again. So in just our courses that we have right now, you get a good understanding of kind of the basics of agent-based behavior, goal-based behavior, utility-based behavior, things like that. So that would be in classes like 463, planning, sequential decision making. What's more interesting is looking at from like an embedded or an embodied perspective, which I think is more what you're kind of getting at. So there are classes in mechanical engineering, like that's more robotics, and mechanical engineering and to some extent electrical engineering own robotics, but those are classes that we definitely want to include as part of this. So they would be like, where do we have here? We have, again, our set of electives. So like that would be a core elective or a technical elective that you could sub in here. So that's how we would like address things like that. I saw you. Yes. Yep, wait for the mic. Yeah, got it.
I was just, so.
Oh, is there
It is on.
There it is, yep.
It's just weak. So the market is really saturated with CS people.
Yep.
A lot of work experience. Do you expect that this will make graduates from UK more desirable to employers, and also was the hardest?
Okay. So first question first. So yeah, we do think that it'll make our students competitive for one simple reason. A lot of what we're seeing is that a lot of the CS, or like really a lot of the programmers that people are hiring, the software developers they're hiring, they are familiar with these tools, but what they lack is sometimes, and really a lot of times, this kind of deep understanding of of programming, of computing principles, and of how the AI works to be able to handle things when stuff goes wrong. So you can vibe code out in a few hours a giant software like a code base, but then if it doesn't work, I don't know how to fix it. But what the goal here is that with this degree, you would know how to fix it. Or even better, you would know how to not get in that situation to begin with, because you would know how the AI works, and you would know how to kind of interact with it in such a way to minimize the chances that stuff doesn't work to begin with. One of my favorite things that while like I try to keep on top of, oh, here are the various ways people are using AI right now out in the workforce. And one of my favorite ones was Microsoft deployed Copilot onto GitHub. And they kind of forced people to use it. And so I was reading some of the pull requests that Copilot would do. And so at one point, I don't know what this project was, but Copilot is asked, hey, there's an issue here. What do you think is wrong? And Copilot was like, oh yeah, okay, I think this is wrong. Don't worry, I've changed it for you. And then they come back a little bit later and say, wait a minute, this doesn't work. This isn't running. Can you fix it? He's like, oh yeah, no, I see what I did. Don't worry, I fixed it now. Now all of our tests are failing. What's happened, Copilot? Oh, I see what I did wrong. Don't worry, I fixed it, and now it totally passes all the tests. No, it doesn't. It doesn't pass the test. And they went back and forth until eventually the person who was maintaining this code just said, start over. Like, undo everything you did and start from the beginning. That was like a 3-day long chain that went through here. And we're seeing this happen all the time. And so this is the kind of thing that we want to prepare you to deal with. And really, again, to be skilled enough to not find yourself in that situation to begin with. Excellent question. Oh wait, second question. Was this the hardest one? Nope, got this one shot. Which notice, it's also not super perfect. What's that quirky leaning on? Nothing. Okay, what else? Oh, first prompt until I'm happy with it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, fun. This one took 2 times to generate, but only because the Corgi initially, they gave it whites of his eyes. I didn't like the style on that. It actually got the neural network in my little fake MNIS 5 very, very quickly. You had a question, and then I'll come back.
Talking about the vibe coding era right now, don't you think it is like giving away the whole sense of security of a project up to like a open web? Because I think like when someone like codes in like very private projects, like old COBOL projects or stuff like that. So when you ask anything very specific, like if you give the whole specification to a vibe coding platform, it will know the specifics of it. Now it knows the whole idea.
Yep.
And it is of course like people. It is like it can like if the pen tests fail, people can just go in like take all the information from that. So and also it's kind of not destroying, but it is changing the paradigm of like coding your own stuff in projects. So don't you think vibe coding is like changing the whole paradigm of programming and like everything? Like if you do something simple earlier used to do and then complicated stuffs, you would be happy, but now it would come out in one go. And then if something goes wrong, it will go more wrong and wrong, and it will go more complicated. You don't have any power, any accountability of the whole project to change it.
Right. So I agree, and that's one of the reasons that we focus so much in this program on ethics and the issues surrounding data and things like privacy and fairness, because right now it is mind-boggling how many people do not realize that when you type something into ChatGPT, congratulations, they own it. I talked to people in HR departments, and I was like, hey, you need to be careful about passing in resumes into like this program because it's now off and OpenAI owns it. And they were like, what? No, that can't be right. No, it is. And so you need to be ready to you go in, you work for a software development company. If your boss asks you to do this, you need to be able to come back to them and say, hey, is this something we actually want to do? Like, you need to know the full implications of the tools that you're using because you can't count on really anyone else to know that. And that's something that this program does. So that's excellent. That is like 100% true. So let's see. I know we got you over there as well. we can work our way that way. Yeah.
Was the hardest slide the one with all the words on it, like write a story about a robot, summarize something?
Which one?
Give dinner plan ideas. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
So this one was another two-shot one, but it was because the first time it did it, I asked it to be in a classroom, and it gave me like an elementary school classroom, and I wanted it to be in a lecture hall. No, those words were first-time words, but what's notable is, what is this nonsense? It did not quite, like, it got the idea of, oh, I want these words mirrored on a small screen, but just could not actually make them.
Questions?
Yeah.
Similar. About the degrees.
Oh, about the trees. Nope, that one was pretty.
On the wall.
Oh, the degrees. Where are you? There. This one? This one. Do you think that one was the hardest? Nope, this is a one-shot one. In fact, I was impressed that I just told it to make me a picture where a corgi is choosing between two classes. And it decided that one of them should be AI. I was very pleased with that. That was part of the fact that it was a long conversation. Yeah.
I think it's maybe page 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
This
One? No, that one is just real bad, and so I kept it because it's bad.
I think
This one? Nope, this one was also a one-page or a one-shot one. I did tell it to have Artificial Intelligence, A Modern Approach by Russell and Norvig. I was hoping it would actually like search the internet to find the picture of it, but it didn't, so. Okay, yeah, I saw you first, yeah. Yes. Either one. Like, we're giving you kind of the full package here. We're teaching you how to like be a practitioner of tools, but also to understand how the tools function underneath. So if you wanted to go in and actually engineer them, you'd be perfectly capable to do so. So that's what that like 460 and the large language models class. These are examples of classes where you really dive into the engineering behind these systems. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yep, that is again the, let's go back. Yes. Mm-hmm. And no, yeah, we don't, it's like, did we do that in 465? No, we did not fine tune in 465.
Okay, question.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do a GPU coding,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use computer shaders, okay? If you if you're interested in GPU code, teach code. We don't teach
OpenGL.
shaders.
And computer graphics is one of the core electives on the degree, so it does count.
Excuse me. So I'm a finance major and have no computer science background, so this is a little overwhelming for me. I was just wondering, I could definitely see the benefit in a lot of this. If I were to just want to take some of like the very entry level kit and the whole ticket, would I be able to take like 1 or 2 classes just for like the benefit of it?
Yep, sure would. Yeah, first off, thank you for being here. Again, AI is kind of for everybody, so I'm glad if there are non-CS people that are here. Also, sorry, there's another question back here. I want to make sure you don't miss them. Yeah, so 263, 465, these are classes that have no prereqs. So you can go in, you can register for those next semester and go in, and they're designed so that you don't need a technical background. You don't need to know how to code anything like that. We'll teach you what you do need to know. And really, the certificate, like the entire certificate, hold on, sorry. Yep. Oh, so many slides. The entire certificate is designed where you can go through it without needing a lot of technical knowledge background in CS. So you can take 263, 465, both of those have no prereqs. 509, I'm pretty sure, also has no prereqs. That's the ethics class. Then you could take an elective that's offered by another department. So again, like that interesting Adam and Eve in AI. That's a class that's offered by, I think, Word or somewhere over there. Probably easy enough to get into that. So you could finish the entire certificate, or you're in finance. There are business analytics classes that you could take to sub in for that elective there at the bottom. So you could do the whole thing without needing to necessarily know, oh, how does C++ work? How do I code up a neural net in Python? So definitely consider this. Sorry, they've been waiting for a long time.
Thank you. This is sort of a random. Adding sort of AI governance or AI policy, especially with Patterson's.
I want to so much, because that is so important, and yet nobody can, we have no definite answers on any of that. So no, I've had students in the past who've been interested in AI policy, AI governance, the legal issues surrounding AI. We currently have those elements in some other classes, like they show up in ethics, they show up in 263, but I think it would be fantastic to have a full-on class, some kind of partnership with, the Patterson School of Policy, or Public Policy, to develop something like that. I know that I'm interviewing, someone's interviewing me about that, which I'm super excited for. But yeah, I'd love to see more done on that front. Okay, we're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. So what I noticed that this year there's been a lot of like limitations to usage of AI in classrooms, you know, for obvious reasons of plagiarism and copyright issues.
Yeah.
But my question is in those classes where we're learning I guess in the sense of a software developer learning the 5 coding tools, are those going to be, if we use those tools or a cloud code in those classes to develop, even though I know exactly what I'm doing, it's just using those tools as a resource, like a calculator, right?
Yep.
Am I going to using those resources?
So I will say that, again, my diplomatic answer is it's always professor's policy. But one of the things that came up at our faculty meeting at the beginning of the semester is, and one of the things that I'm kind of pushing for is, how much do we, on purpose, incorporate these types of tools, these types of AI-powered coding tools into our lower level classes? So I think what's going to happen is more and more, you're going to start to see them actually become a part of the class. So there's going to be modules on, okay, here's how you code something by hand. Now, how would you do the same thing, making use of the tool? So instead of trying to treat it as a very poorly kept secret that we turn our eyes away from and assume that nobody's doing it, even though we know they totally all are, we more embrace it. And we try to again focus on teaching you to use it responsibly and the right way, rather than Oh, okay, yeah.
I think there's a lot of fear for incoming students about technical-related degrees being replaced by software engineering, because what if actually takes all the software engineering jobs? Can you comment on that trend and how you see it changing between now and people start graduating from the program?
I can. So this is, again, pure speculation. But based on what I've seen so far, and based on some of the stories that I've been reading, is I have read the horror stories of, oh, we've let go a bunch of developers and tried to replace them with AI. Those get a lot of play. What doesn't get so much play are the articles that are then published 3 months later, 6 months later, saying, oh wait, we had to hire back all of our developers because this AI code base is not actually sustainable. We needed people to come back in and fix it. So I think what's going to happen is, in 2 to 4 years, people are going to realize that we can't expect for a big, complicated system to be maintained solely by AI. We actually do need people to come in and manage this. And this is where people that are AI competent or AI proficient are going to look very, very appealing. And I expect in 3 to 4 years is when companies will catch up and be like, oh yeah, this mass automation effort that we're currently going through is not going to work. And that just happens to coincide with if you are an incoming freshman when you would be about ready to go onto the job market. Again, that I didn't plan my projection with that in mind. I honestly believe that 3 to 4 years is when that bubble is gonna, like, I hate to call it a bubble, but like that thought is going to be like, or they're going to come to the realization that it is not sustainable. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. Okay. Mhm. So, so I think, like, we haven't talked specifically about that, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do that. Again, we designed this to make it easy to, for example, so imagine you could do things similarly to that. Like, you could re-enroll, and we'd be able to count most of your CS classes towards the requirement here. You would just have to take the classes that are kind of, you know, differences, or test out some of the lower level classes. Like, I imagine if you were coming back, 115 is not something you would need to take. Yeah, you would just need to kind of fill in, and most of the electives can probably be filled in with CS classes. And so, yeah, I imagine that you wouldn't need to do too much in order to come back and just fill out this entire degree. And I think that would also be a big benefit, because you would, again, there would be classes that focus specifically on using these tools to develop software. There's classes that on going into the nuts and bolts of how these systems work. So I think it'd be useful. That's an awesome question. I love that. On time.
Do you see AI branching off and working with student organizations and departments, say, like the healthcare situation, where you can help build LLMs and implementations and data structures to help their side?
I think we're already seeing that. So I know that on the, like, we're starting to see more partnerships with other departments, especially in healthcare. Healthcare has been one of the ones kind of like really driving data science and AI from the kind of like non-computer science perspective. One of the things that I would love to see, so I don't know if you noticed, probably not because I didn't draw attention to it. In that 4th year, we still have CS 498 and CS 499. So there is still a senior design project in here. What I would love to see is a closer partnership where we can start to get some really interesting, like, AI-related customers coming from other places in the university to act as, hey, these are AI 499 projects for our students to do. So I think that's one big, like, opportunity that we have here. But yeah, I definitely see those types of things increasing. Okay. Yeah.
Are there any considerations to create an AI minor?
So yes, we are definitely, that's definitely on the horizon. We want to kind of get this off the ground, see how that goes. But I have all expectation that AI minor will be coming, because we want it to be accessible to people, you know, for all kinds of different, that are looking for different things. And so the minor is one of the ways to cater to, you know, people that are looking for maybe more than a certificate, but less than the full major.
How far away would you guess that might be?
Depends wholly on how fast it can go through the approval process. I think minors are going, so this took about 1.5 years from start to finish through just the approval process. Minors, I don't think, are going to take near that long. So my guess would be probably like a year. Again, purely a guess. I've never put a minor through the system, so I don't know. Okay, any last guesses? What was the slide? Well, okay, not Wumpus. Who said blocks? It was blocks. This was the single hardest slide because I had to get these blocks in this exact order. It took me probably 5 to 10 tries. And then what happened, I don't know if you noticed, blocks started appearing in other images. Why are there blocks here? I never asked it to generate any more blocks. It just decided that that's where they were going to be. It wasn't until this slide that I figured out, like, I kept trying to tell it no blocks, but we were running into the negation issue. It wasn't until here that I was like, oh, what am I doing? So generate like this image, use a negative prompt for blocks, and that's what got rid of blocks. So yeah, that was the hardest slide. Okay, and now that's the thing.
All right, thank you very much.